Hello everyone, welcome back to our new podcast with MV Funded CEO Joe. In this podcast, we are going to ask lots of questions regarding, there were many doubts that you guys used to ask me. Why has MV Funded banned so many countries and so many things? Well, we are going to ask all these questions to the Joe. Hey Joe, thanks for joining us.
Great to be here.
Guys, before we begin, let's ask Joe. Joe, can you give us a quick overview and a quick go through of your career and how did it all started?
Sure. So obviously, we're here in Dubai today, but I'm originally from London.
Yeah.
Grown up there, worked in the city there.
Mm-hmm.
This is now my 14th year in sort of the financial industry. So I have a background of broker mostly, always on the trading side, always on the risk side. Straight into financial industry at 18, straight out of school, into a broker back in London. Worked there for it was just about 6 years or so. Started, on the trading desk, junior, worked all the way up to sort of senior dealer, managing risk, managing sort of large scale risk for sure. Moved to a startup in London, a broker side of things as well. That went fairly slowly, let's say. Now that was only when I was roughly 23, 24. So still fairly young, still learning the markets, of course, but had quite a rapid rise into going into senior positions. From there, we founded, back then it was MarketsVox, today it is MarketsVox, as most people will know, in terms of the regulated broker. So that was back in 2019, just before COVID, we started that project. Obviously that came around.
Yeah.
We've grown from there throughout the years, regulated offshore, clients from all over the world, grown that to become a recognizable brand that people are aware of to this day.
Yeah.
And in the last 2024, obviously we went into the prop space with MV Funded. So it's been quite a rapid rise in the last 5-6 years. At 30 years old, to own a broker or a prop firm.
I would like to add one point here. So if we go online and if you see, many people speculate that MV Funded is not let's talk about MV broker, MarketVox. So they feel like MarketVox is not a very old broker, or they just came like few months back or 1 to 2 years back. So how old is MarketVox?
So MarketsVox today is coming into its 6th year to be regulated on their own. We're coming into our 2nd year. So we started in London under a regulatory umbrella under the FCA there. So we was all focused on institutional and professional traders back in London. And during that period grew to target more of the retail market as we are today.
Yeah. So how did you guys came up with the idea of going into prop firm space?
Sure. I think obviously naturally it was a market trend that was coming about. Of course, it had been on our radar for probably the best part of 18 months, 2 years prior to actually launching. We had a lot of client requests, especially in sort of Southeast Asia. The prop space was starting to pick up traction.
Yeah.
It was still very much in its infancy then. Technology providers, there wasn't many out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure we know there's probably 1 or 2 that was only really around 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was always something we had an eye on. But I think it was something we wanted to watch how the market was, how it played out, understand what traders in the prop space are doing, because it's completely different to broker side. There was a lot of research put in place, and we sort of grew into launching our own for sure.
By the way, do you know how many broker-backed prop firms exist right now?
Not sure. There's definitely a lot coming to market. 20, 25?
Okay, so as per our website, so we have like more than 75 prop firms who claim to be broker-backed prop firms, and 80% of them are from the offshore brokerages. So basically, unregulated brokerage firms. So what's your thoughts on so many broker-backed prop firms coming up? Do you think it's just another gimmick that is going on, or they are just trying to find another way to scam their audiences? What's the thought on this?
I mean, I'm quite surprised about those numbers of being nearly 60 or 70 odd. I think there's obviously the main players that people are well aware of, that have been around for a number of years, that a lot of the, let's say, first early prop firms that were using for the certain platforms. But I think, to my knowledge, lots of people, the brokers that have come out that are based in sort of London and have been around for a number of years, definitely come with good intentions, without a doubt. There's a good cross-sell.
And how do you plan to, let's say, if we even consider the top broker-backed platforms, so we don't see MV funded coming on, let's be honest, not even in top 5 or top 7. So how are you planning to tackle this, and how are you planning to be let's say, to be in the top 3 broker-backed platforms?
Sure. So I think we launched back in October last year, so we're sort of 6-7 months in now. One thing that we never really do, we did it with our broker as well. We're never going to make all the noise straight away. We like to get our feet under the table. We like to understand the market. We like to get things right naturally. With technology, because it's a technology-based business, you have to get these things right. So it makes sense to slowly sort of take our time, find our feet, find the right partners. The trading game, whether it's prop or broker, is about trust. Now, it takes time to build. Lots of people can go out and spend money on ads and pay for influencers and so what.
Yeah, and other than this, I would like to add one point that when we talk about MV funded, or let's say MarketVox, so we, let's say, most of the traders, they don't know about your firm. So are you guys planning to do something where you can have at least a brand presence, or you can have a better brand presence compared to what's saying now, or is it just a part of your strategy as of now, or you guys are just experimenting with what I can say, with the audiences for long-term sustainability of MV funded?
Sure. I think it's something you have to do naturally in our business in terms of growing the brand. How you go about that is, there's sort of many ways to do it. Like I say, you can definitely spend on marketing. You can definitely, there's lots of sponsorships these days that people are going into, sports teams, racing teams. But I think what
Boxers.
yeah, definitely. I think what we like to do, we like people to trust the product. Myself and the other co-founder, we're both of a trading experience.
Yeah.
We understand markets, we like markets, we understand really and truly, at the end of the day, you need to give a good trading experience to clients. Now, once that happens, clients become very sticky and they trust you. And from there, word of mouth spreads for sure. So I think we are very much organic growth based.
So you trust organic growth more compared to these marketing gimmicks?
Definitely. There's definitely plenty out there. I'm sure we've all seen it. Of spending the big bucks on marketing, and then all of a sudden those names disappear fairly quickly when they run out of
I
marketing.
know many of them.
Exactly. So yeah, we're very much focused on building a long-term trust business relationship with clients. We're very personable.
Why have you guys banned? I have seen India was banned. I think India is still banned. India, Pakistan, let's say Nigeria. So these are the top countries for other prop firms. If we talk about let's say other firms, I won't be taking any name, but 99% of the time they will be having India, Nigeria, Pakistan in their top 3 or top 4, and I have seen that you have banned these particular countries. So won't it affect your revenue, and what's the reason behind that?
Sure. I think it does all sort of fall back to our ethos as a company of getting things right in the first place. There's plenty of countries out there around the world. Do we want to be number one in every single one of them? No, we don't need to. And
we published out and research recently, and on that research, the MV funded, it was the only firm which has banned more than 70 to 80 countries. So again, I would like to add this point also.
Sure. Like I say, a lot of them come from, there's not many we offer in Southeast Asia. There's obviously India is right now, a large part of Africa. We're very focused on Europe.
Yeah.
We're very focused on South America. and also a large number of sort of the Russian-speaking countries.
Yeah.
The Russian-speaking countries come from sort of our internal teams and where we have offices located. They take the right support. Do we have the right support to offer the right product to a trader in the countries that, whilst let's say banned right now, that's never to say they're not going to open up. I'm sure they will, but we need to get the right foundations in place.
Agree. And have you seen the forex laws in India, trading laws in India?
I haven't, not the laws, not too familiar.
Okay, no worries. So now going forward, has anyone ever tried to blackmail you for the payout or let's say for the free accounts?
I wouldn't say we've come across that just yet. We have a lot of special requests that come in for sure.
Any influencers trying to blackmail you for giveaways?
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff out there. I'll give us some free accounts and we'll give you a good review. That's everywhere in the market. That's in the prop. That's in the broker. It's quite a lot.
Do you think Twitter is like when I came to Twitter, I saw that many of the prop firm traders, they are on Twitter. But Twitter is not what I can say selling point, not only for my firm, but many prop firms out there. So is it something similar for you where Twitter is like just the noise and not the actual sales getting converted? Other sources like Instagram, Discord communities, they are bringing you what I can say more actual conversions compared to the noise that we hear on Twitter.
Yeah, I think definitely probably in the last year we've seen Twitter. Interactions are extremely high and views and retweets and likes, etc. How well monetized that is, I'm not so sure. I definitely think you're right in terms of the Discord where it's a lot more personable. However, unfortunately on these places, there's lots of bots and whatnot spamming. But yeah, I think it's quite a hard place to probably monetize. But the audience it reaches. It definitely reaches an audience, how you monetize that.
And I think Twitter helps you to create a brand perception where you can actually shape out how people think out about your brand. Conversion is something I believe is a different factor, but you can go and shape the mind of the user, how they think about your brand. So, well, other than this, what's the biggest payout that MV Funded has paid so far?
Today we're at 17,000. It's about 17,360, I think it was. That was our largest. It was actually last month. So yeah, that was a good one for the client, and to actually note that how clients can be paid out. We actually, I don't think anyone else does. We allow them to pay out to the broker. So that payout did actually end up into their brokerage account that they are trading today. So don't think there is anyone else out there doing that. And could be wrong.
Yeah. And has it ever happened to you where someone, let's say, might have made a huge profits and then he just suddenly blown his complete account? So has this ever happened with you guys or at your firm?
On the prop or the broker?
On the prop.
On the prop, we've seen some guys that have unfortunately been on a run and then hit stops. That does happen, and especially in the last few weeks, the way the markets have been with our friend Donald Trump. That it's very volatile out there at the moment.
Yeah, and something similar happened. Like any experience or any show you would like to share at your brokerage industry or at the prop industry?
In the broker industry, we definitely see it. We've seen clients turn. I've actually seen a client turn $40,000 account into $2 million in a week, and blew the $2 million in one day. So it's unfortunately, that's where the psychology comes into the trading. No one's unstoppable. You can go on good runs, but you have to protect that capital.
Agree.
Yeah.
And by the way, like most of the traders, they fail their prop firm challenges. As far as I know, the data is around 90 to 95%. So is this something, the similar pattern that we have at your firm?
Yeah, we're probably around sort of that 92% mark.
Yeah. So let's say if someone is onboarding to your firm, so what are the things that you actually look or expect a prop trader to have so that, it can be a win-win situation for both, even you and even the traders? What are the qualities that you look at a trader when they join MV Funded?
Sure. I think there's a number of things. I think trade frequency is probably the number one. Some of the best traders I've seen are the ones that probably trade the least.
Yeah.
They trade at the right times. Definitely the ones that you can see that stop trading after a loss.
Yeah.
Again, everyone knows it. I think that the revenge trade, the trying to get the last loss back trade is so frequent.
Yeah.
And how often it probably turns into another loss trade. So someone that we know that can probably, they've traded, they've hit their stop for the day, that can turn a screen off and walk away, definitely makes for someone that's probably got a better chance.
And recently I was doing a podcast, and I came to know that for prop firms, it's like scalpers and day traders are some of the riskiest people for prop firms. Why? Because they can make a quick payout, or they can make a quick loss and blow the account. But at the same time, prop firms even consider that the what I can say swing traders, they are a risk for them, because they can keep holding and then they can make a payout. So do you think that prop firms can actually monetize this data of let's say swing traders, or people who are holding longer than 2 to 3 days, and or do you think that this is again what I can say, the risk for the prop firms? Sharing your experience when you see the brokerage side.
Sure. In terms of a risk for the props, I don't think so. I don't think it should be a risk for props. It's the swing trader side of things. There has to be a bit of thought behind the person running the prop, and the risk there to be able to spot a trend, to be able to spot a market, to understand why something is trending. The thought process is very old school to just sort of hope, let's say, that it's going to come back in the favour of the broker or the prop. So I think it's how you manage the risk. It's number one at the end of the day for broker and for client.
And do you think prop firms, like let's say even if you run a broker, so you have much bigger data than what normally prop firms have. So do you think brokers, or let's say your firm, can eventually utilize this data to what I can say more utilize, or book actual swing traders or long term traders?
Definitely. I think that's one of the advantages that, let's say, people coming from broker side of things and their experience entering the prop space, as we have seen in the last year, the experience of managing that risk is only going to help the prop side of things, and hopefully the longevity of the prop space. The experienced people in the industry is required for sure.
And again, I would like to add, as I have talked about a firm, I have seen many broker-backed prop firms. Not many, 99% of them, they are not well known, or they are not as big as, let's say, non-broker-backed firms. When we talk about FTMO, about 5%ers, or about My Funded FX, so these are some of the biggest brokers, but they are not backed by brokers. So why do you think that the broker-backed genuine prop firms, they are not getting as, what I can say, attention compared to the other prop firms?
I think it's probably why it's becoming quite popular for the brokers to enter the space is the demographics of the prop space. In particular, the age of people interested in prop is much younger compared to the people interested in broker, right? So the marketing and how you target those clients has to change. Brokers are used to very much partners and traditional marketing. Props are, I would say, probably fairly used to sort of influencers and using a brand, an existing brand, to market their own. So I think it will eventually drip in that brokers will start to target it in the right way. And again, it's I think it's all about trust and having a stable company that you can trust, whether it's your prop account or broker account.
And do you think the tier A brokers, when we talk about Exness, when we talk about OctaFX, they might be coming into prop firm industry? Do you think?
I don't think everyone will. The ones we've seen so far, I don't think you're going to get too many come in this year. I think they would have already been in by now. If they are, they'll be taking their time to build their own technology for sure. But I don't think it making too much.
And since you have a very long experience within the forex industry, do you think that prop firm industry will or might get regulated? And if it gets regulated, which country do you think is going to be the first one to take action?
I think it definitely will get regulated.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has to, because it's it's still a fairly new space. I know some of the the FTMOs and stuff have been around for 10 years plus. I think it's something that needs to happen. I think it will be beneficial for sure, for props to be regulated, to add some longevity to it.
How big do you think, what I can say, the prop firm space market needs to be to actually, get into the eyes of regulators? Because as far as I believe, I think the market is already $1 billion market, because we if we talk, we are giving sales like $5 to $7 million every month to prop firms out there. So we are actually giving like $80 to $100 million worth of sales to the 20 to 30 prop firms that are out there. So I think that this industry has already been $1 billion industry so far. So how big do you think the industry can grow right from the point where we are right now?
Well, firstly, congratulations on those numbers. They're very good. But I don't think it needs to. It will definitely get bigger. For it to come on the regulators' sort of radar, I think it's probably already there. I'm sure they're already doing their homework and understanding sort of what's required, where they need to target. But yeah, really and truly, it's the same as the broker space. Lots of people wrote off the broker space five years ago and 3 years ago. It's only getting bigger year on year.
And by the way, since you own both brokerage firms and prop firms, which traders are more profitable? The ones who are trading with their own capital, or the ones trading with prop firms?
I would say a quick answer. I would say prop. In the long term of things, obviously in the broker side of things, there's lots of different types of clients. There's people that invest in long term with large capital. However, obviously not everyone has access to large capital, and obviously that was sort of that's the main goal of prop, to be able to allow people to trade larger capital, to start and make a living and make a career of trading. So I think it's very different in terms of the client type, client categorization between prop and broker for sure.
Perfect. And there is one thing that I have recently observed. I would love to have a point on this. So I am personally swing trader, and I trade on black bull markets and Exness. So when I was trading with them, so the trades I hold them for 4 months, 5 months, and I never saw any downtime. So they don't have such thing called as maintenance, where they will be closing your trades and something like that. But when we come to prop firm space, we see every Saturday, like even though firms allow, they say okay, we allow weekend holding, but then they said that okay, we are having some maintenance, so we will close all your trades. So do you think again, this is something that is just the prop firms they are doing so that people don't hold for the swing or something like that, or do you think that actually there is some maintenance that happens, seeing your experience with MetaTrader, MatchTrader, and
Sure.
other stuff?
Sure. To be honest, I think that is very much right now in the prop industry. I think unfortunately that is the side that does need to tighten up and sharpen up in terms of being able to offer a long-term product to clients. Those sort of instances in a broker space you wouldn't hear about. Unfortunately, the prop space, it's probably been cleaned out a little bit in the last sort of year or 12 months, let's say, of a few bad players. But unfortunately, there probably are still some. And again, that's where the experience of running a financial business, a trading business, across the industry, is required to definitely, keep up these standards.
But why do you think these firms are playing such tactics? Is it just to stop the big withdrawals or what?
Unfortunately, I'd probably guess yes, that it probably is that case. Without being able to see someone do it, or why they do it. But I guess that probably is the situation, and maybe perhaps a cash flow issue for them.
There is one more thing. So when we talk about the prop firm industry, so one thing that most people usually talk about is A book and B booking traders. So when we talk about B booking, prop firms are profitable when they B book the traders, but at the same time there is a high chances they go down. And I have also seen that when prop firms they try to figure out how to A book firms, or sorry, how to A book traders, then there is a 90% chance the firm will fail. But seeing at the brokerage side, there is a big chance that even if you are B booking, you will grow, but at the same time, even if you are A booking, you will grow. So why do you think there is a big difference between brokerage side and prop firm side?
I think that comes down to, again, the experience of being able to manage real risk. In terms of A book and B book, everyone knows that is the case. That's the case for brokers, it's the case for props, it's the case for banks, real money market makers.
Agree.
That is the financial markets. There are good traders out there, there are bad traders out there. How you keep a functioning market, a liquid market, is by identifying them and making sure they're allocated to the right place. If everyone was just on B book across the globe, then there would be liquidity issues everywhere.
Agree.
If everyone was on A book across the globe, same thing, because you have to take into account, when there's A book evolved, there's margin required, and it's one thing people don't quite understand, whether they're from the prop space or even still today for the broker space, that there isn't an infinite amount of margin. Brokers and liquidity providers and banks have risk limits that you have to adhere to. Now, obviously, when limits start to get hit, margins start to get called. That's how the financial markets work. That's what we've seen in the last few weeks in terms of the stock market. People getting liquidated of positions.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that it comes down to experience. It comes down to how you manage the risk. Without a doubt, to be profitable as a business, you have to run both. And it's advantageous to run both for the profitable traders, for the ones that aren't. It's a cycle that's needed to keep standards good.
I agree. And then when we talk about, let's say, brokerage side, so what's your experience? Is B booking traders more profitable for the brokers or A booking traders? And what risk comes through both of them?
To say there's a more profitable one, it depends on the company. If you're A booking everyone, or if you're A booking a segment of clients, obviously everything is predicated on volume.
Yeah.
However, obviously, if you have smaller volume but you have larger risk, naturally the B book side of things is going to be more profitable. But I think it's good, again, to have a real mix. There's smart hedging out there now these days. It's something we're very much focused on in terms of not just running out and out risk. We're smart the way we trade around positions, holding trades for a certain period of time before executing them through A book. And that all comes down to spread capture, to whether a client is profitable onside straight away or offside straight away. That comes down to really looking at data, which is one thing our company is built on. Without a doubt, data is everything.
Agree. And when I was studying and when I was beginning in this industry, so I saw that many people complain that brokers, I'm talking about brokers, they deny the payouts. They deny the payouts of traders, saying that you were tick scalping, you were doing what I can say, playing with the slippage. So do you think this is something that actually happens with the brokerage firms and not the prop firms?
In terms
of trade manipulations or
of brokers manipulating trades?
no, so the traders trying to make profit from the environment of trading conditions at brokerages. So do you think this is something that actually happens?
I would say so, yes. People, again, we are in a technology-based business. When it comes to technology, if the infrastructure isn't correct, you can experience outages, latency, and unfortunately, there are clients out there around the world, that make a living out of trying to
scam.
Yeah, I don't like to say scam brokers. They try to abuse. They see pricing issues. Unfortunately, that does happen when it comes to technology. Different liquidity providers have different pricing. It's definitely something that happens, but that comes back down to technology.
And is this something that you guys have faced at, let's say, MV Funded or MarketsVox?
In terms of the
cheaters coming up and trying to exploit? Definitely.
Unfortunately, they are everywhere. How you spot them is best to get it spotted early. There are always going to be people that are trying to take advantage of maybe a misprice, let's say. Like I say, people, I've seen it. I've been in this industry for nearly 14 years now. I've seen it every year for all 14 years. It's something very, very common, unfortunately.
Perfect. And then, other than this, what do you think when we talk at MarketVox? So, well, now let's talking about MV funded. So, I have seen that you guys have only 2-step challenges. So, why is it so? Like, why not 1-step and instant funding challenges for the traders?
I think one step is something we'll be adding very shortly, without a doubt. I'm not too sure how quickly this will come out, but I'm probably more than likely by the time it does that will be added. Again, I fall back to the sort of the same situation in terms of just getting one thing right first and being comfortable, making sure our rules and our parameters are set in the right place. But yeah, one step will definitely be something that will be coming in shortly. We have a lot of plans coming up for the next sort of 6 months for sure, with the plan to really finish 2025 strong.
By the way, do you think like when you talk about FTMO or fires, we have seen most of the time they know that what's going to come when we talk about meta codes going down or US regulations coming up. So, do you think this is something that broker back prop firms has an edge over compared to other prop firms?
I think so. I think it's definitely the case. Like I say, the people that are running the broker-backed prop firms, let's say, have been in the market for a long time.
Yeah.
Some of the big names out there, maybe it's the people that have founded them. Founded great companies for sure. But experience in the market, it can't really be beaten. It's not the first time I've seen situations like this of technology being changed or regulation or rules being changed. But being able to react fast is what's required, and having backup plans in place.
And have you been following my Forex Funds case?
I do remember, although I haven't heard too much about it lately, apart from its.
Yeah, so, what's your thoughts? Like, I think you might have some basic idea about what happened. So, what's your thought? Because the case is still going on. And why do you think that my Forex Funds actually got into trouble? Meanwhile, other US and Canada based firms, they are still operating.
I think the US is quite a hard place to understand sometimes when it comes to rules and regulations, for sure.
Tariffs.
yeah, definitely. They're very active. They're very busy. And I think it seems to be a country that, if you get on the wrong side of someone, you can find yourself probably in the firing line a little bit. Perhaps they was making a little bit too much noise. I would say it probably comes back to, as well, potentially I wouldn't know the ins and outs. But there must have been, some red flags raised for them to sort of come on the radar. It doesn't just come out of nowhere, I'm sure. But I'm sure that will get figured out soon.
I agree. And now, are you permanently moving to Dubai now?
Yes, so I'm here now. I've been here just over 3 months.
Are you loving it?
Loving it, yes, definitely.
Why did you decided Dubai and not Cyprus or any other country?
I've been coming to Dubai for the best part of 4 or 5 years now. Pretty much every time I came here, I left thinking, why am I leaving? And I think it got to a trip back in October of last year.
Yeah.
When I was out here and we sat on the beach and we said, I think it's time to make the move. But it's for 2 factors, personal and business. Personally, obviously, you've been here for a while now. It's an amazing city in Dubai. UAE is an amazing country. The people are very friendly.
Yeah.
But for business, it's so pro business. It's in a great location. In terms,
It's a hub.
Yeah, it's really in the middle. We do a lot of business in Asia.
Yeah.
So we was flying from London to Dubai and then on to Asia. Right. So I thought, let's cut that flight time in half. And yeah, there's so many positives.
And is Dubai cheaper than London?
There's not much in it. There's not much in it. It depends where you live in London, but then again, it depends where you live here in Dubai. You can make it affordable, I guess, in both places, but unfortunately, both are very expensive.
Okay. Other than that, comparing the business point of view, so do you think that Dubai is like one of the major hubs where we can see so many forex brokers, so many influencers, they are in Dubai, and we see so many expos going on in Dubai and everything. So do you think this is something that also plays a role in, bringing all the global expats to Dubai?
I think so. I think so. I think London has definitely obviously played a huge role in the financial markets for X amount of years. Again, where it's geographically located, again, sort of between the US and Asia. But I think Dubai is becoming a hub on the basis that everyone's pro business. Since I've been here, I've had more meetings than I've had in the last 5 years in 3 months. It's every week, multiple. But it's good. It's good.
And this, like we have recently seen that USA is imposing so much tariffs. So does this thing actually affects you as a brokerage firm?
Not particularly as us as a brokerage firm. Obviously we don't facilitate US clients. That's something that's been long known. So really and truly the tariffs don't affect us in terms of business sense. Obviously the main sense is how it affects the markets right now.
Agree. And does this currency fluctuations or what I can say tariffs actually affect other brokers if we talk about other brokerage firms?
I wouldn't think so. Obviously, the money in the brokerage firms is very much sort of individual. Individual investors, individual traders. Obviously, there are some corporates that trade, but I don't think they should affect too much.
Do you think someone can become a millionaire just by trading?
I do. I think it takes time for sure. I think it takes a little bit of luck, definitely some skill, a lot of self-belief. But yeah, it's a process to become. But through brokers, definitely, I have lots of friends that trade professionally for themselves in the future markets and spaces like that. And they've made a career out of it for sure.
So, before we end up this podcast, I would like to ask you, why do you think, what makes MV Funded actually different compared to other platforms, or MarketVox different compared to other brokers out there?
I think the fact that we are relatively new actually plays into our advantage. I think the fact that we're run and owned by two people that have a trading experience. We understand at the end of the day we're offering a trading product. So knowing what clients want, what they need, and delivering that with trust, I think only plays into our hands. That we look to build long-term relationships with partners, with clients, whether that be broker or prop. And the end goal is for us to have a one-stop shop, let's say, for everyone to be in one place, rather than needing to go from prop and then across to a different broker. We have everything. Communities, MV Social is a community that we have, sort of like a Discord, but it's our own technology. So we really try to keep everyone in one place, and keep everyone familiar with the product. And try to be as open as we can. There's not too many brokers out there, or props that you know and speak to the real owner, the actual end owner of the companies.
So thank you so much, Joe, for joining for this podcast, and I really appreciate you.
Thank you very much for having me, AJ. Been good fun.
And guys, I flied from Mumbai to Dubai just to meet Joe here. So
thank you very much. I'm sure we'll do it again.
So thanks, Joe, for joining. And guys, this podcast was especially because you guys are having so many questions. Why has MV Funded banned so many countries? Why are they not actively engaging on social media? So many things. And this podcast was especially for those people who keep complaining. I will try to bring Joe again, and the next podcast is going to be completely about brokerage firms. So how these brokerage firms operates, how they operate shell companies, and so many things about the brokerages. So if this video gets more than 500 likes, we will be bringing Joe again on this podcast. So I know you guys can do it. Other than that, so we will be having 10 coupon codes along this podcast, and if you can find all the 10 coupon code, you can win a platform challenge right from 5k up to 100k challenge. So try to find them all. And guys, thank you so much for watching, and let's meet again in our next podcast.